I said, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to, is there a certain color scheme that you need? And she's like, nope, I'm leaving it up to you. So I said, okay.
Right.
And welcome back to another great episode of the Red and Black Project. Chris and John.
Hey.
What's up?
So much we can't talk about.
I know there's so much we can't talk about, not even in the life update. What's going on?
No, yeah, not even with patrons.
We can't share for about another month, right?
Yeah.
About?
Yep.
Yeah, in about a month. So
send in your guesses.
Yeah, stay tuned. But you've got your creative juices back.
I do. Hopefully they stick around.
Yes, that we'll talk about in the life update.
Yeah.
And all the things we have coming up.
Yeah.
But this episode is brought to you by
Katie with Monarch Pine. If you're looking for jewelry blanks or findings, check her out on monarchpine.com. I did it.
You did
seamlessly this
kind
time. What do you mean kind of? Don't take this from me.
I heard it.
Stop it. It wasn't there. Anyway, if you want 10% off, use code Riley Black. And of course, patrons, you get a higher discount. And I've been good about updating that higher discount list.
Right. And that list you can find at the TRBP Hangout. So if you're a patron, be sure to join that Facebook group because that's where the discount codes are. Mm-hmm. It's where our After Darks are. We just had one. It was really fun.
Mm-hmm. We have another one coming up at the end of November.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then if you're Gen Pop, we got you covered too. The Riley Black Project Community Facebook group is for you. And we do quarterly After Darks there.
December will be the open one.
Yep. December?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this next one. Nice.
Yeah.
So no, because November. Yeah.
Right. Chill out,
sorry,
okay?
Sorry.
Let's not skip November.
Yeah.
It's already November, which is already too much for me.
Gobble. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So what else do we have? Facebook groups?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Join Patreon.
Yep.
Support us.
So
that we can stick around.
Yeah, right. Keep doing this thing.
Yeah.
And now for this awkward interjection for this month's
patron shout
out. So without further ado, who do we have?
We have Heidi C, Tanner with K&G, Ann Hotchkiss, Melody P, Taimada, Pam with Barefoot Inspirations, Alicia Logan, Christian C, Christian with Tumbly House Creative, Kim and Garrett Make It, Patricia L, Michelle with Edward Stitch and Laser, Toby with Cuddle.xyz, Christina M, Jen with Laser Last Design Co, Candy with Turtle To Go Creations, Sheila with Sign Inspirations LLC, Natalie C, Hannah B, Daniel with The Live Pixel Creates, Danny M, Stephanie with Pretty Petty Design, Catherine with Primary Market, Bree with The Burn Shack, Aaron with Aaron's Acrylic Animals, Christy C, too close to the other one. Jess with JT Financial Studio, Rexy with Spreading Stardust, Superfan Brandy, Victor with Excited Adam, Katie with Monarch Pine, Lisa, David with Creative Cut Supply, Stephanie L, Barbie C, Madison B, Emily, That Mom with Laser, Mark with Big Blue Laser Designs, Kathy Ray, The Testing Queen, MJ with Craft and Carry Customs, Ryan with Sprouts Creations, and Will, Crazy Laser Dad.
Wow. Well, thank you all for your support.
So much.
We appreciate it. And now back to the show. Yeah, Print United was fun. That was last week's episode. And that whole thing. Hope you guys caught that and liked our little montage.
Yeah, it was a good
of
time,
everything.
For sure.
That Iconics was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, without further ado,
I'm gonna help with this intro just a little bit.
Okay.
In that you've probably recently seen her in the groups.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. She's been a great help.
Yes.
To me and taking some of the posting off of my hands.
Yeah, and has kept me honest on the teases.
Yeah, she's like, I don't see it. What do I need to share?
Right. And I know they're not there. And I'm like, I got like sometimes like past I think 3, like I've made sure that if nothing else, Fridays is there.
Yeah.
And then that Mondays is there because I know like I'm gonna be questioned about it. But anyway, our guest today, again, friend of the show, moderator, you've seen her in the groups. The fun fact is she just got her first big girl space.
Nice.
A engraved tumbler was featured in the City of Centennial's themed gifts basket.
Nice.
Centennial, Colorado. I mean, it helped us get together our meetup when we were there.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to the show, Desiree Townsend of Yay Gifts and Carts. How's it going?
Hey, it's going good. Yeah, that's my sole job in life, John, is to keep you honest.
Right.
Well, you're doing a
to
great
keep us
job.
on our toes, making sure we're doing what we're supposed to.
Yeah.
Right.
Great seeing you again.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys too.
Yeah. So, I mean, our background a little bit, obviously knew each other from the laser community. And then when we wanted to do a local meetup in Colorado, that was last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She reached out and was willing to help coordinate it. Because we didn't know where to do it or who to do it with or any of that. And she helped find a space for us to do it. And it was a small, cozy meetup, but honestly, it was perfect because we got to like actually all be able to talk and a lot of business advice, going all around the room. So yeah, it was great. And actually, I will be out in Colorado solo next week to visit my dad and family and stuff again. But Friday the 7th, so when her episode comes out, is it? No. Next week. So Friday, November 7th, so only patrons will hear this. Well, we'll hear it in time to go. But in Colorado, what is his name?
Braden.
Yeah, GS2 and Braden and Allison are opening up a new like learning makerspace. And so the grand opening is on Friday, November 14th. So
you hear that write-off, people? This trip is a business trip, so it's a write-off.
Partially write-offable. Well, and I mean, I'm probably going to be doing a podcast while I'm there, potentially.
You're going to be working the whole time. I think we can write off the whole trip.
Well, and you know how it goes. Like, I'm probably going to be doing
Oh, you're totally going to be
stuff.
designing on the trip because you're designing now.
Right.
She's a designer again.
Yeah. But yeah, so... that's basically our backstory. So let's get to yours. How the heck did you get into the laser business, laser engraving area?
Yeah. Jumping in feet first. It's an interesting story in that I had no business owning a laser. I had no technical, beyond the average technical knowledge, right? I can operate a computer, I can operate a copy machine, that kind of thing. But during COVID lockdown, my husband and I were looking for something to keep us busy. And so he started turning pens on the lathe. My daughter actually joined us and was doing keychain wristlets.
Nice.
And decorating some cups. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something too. So I started doing chalk decor and like chalk paint decor and just kind of watching what everybody was doing and realized one of my old blogging friends, because that's the ultimate world that I come from, the mommy bloggers. Oh no. One of my blogging friends from over the past several years started engraving. And I said, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And, so went and purchased a commercial laser, a 400-pound laser, and put it in my garage and had at it. But yeah, that's
so what was the first laser you bought?
It was an Eon Mira 9.
Wow.
So I went full hog. Yep.
Right. Nice. Impressive.
Yeah. I didn't know what I was doing, but yes.
Right. True. I mean, but you figured it out. Like I we kind of knock Glowforge a lot of times for like just some certain, the nuances and like the cons that they have. But like a huge pro for me was, big machines like that terrify me. Right. And so if I would have figured it out if I started with a Mira 9, right? But for one, I would have never been comfortable spending that much money on something new to me. And, ADHD, how I am, like, when you buy that new thing, it could be like, oh, this is it. This is amazing. I love it so much. Or it could be like, the the thrill has worn off the second you buy it sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
You get all the supplies home and you're like, man, I'm over it. You know, so it's like I would be afraid of that with, you know, a 5, 6, 10 plus K machine, because you just never know, like, are you going to love it as much as you think you are? And the scarier aspect of the more industrial type machines, right? Because the Glowforge, they were so good in their marketing, I didn't even know it needed to be vented. And then again, I don't know if this is good, but I didn't know I didn't know it needed to be vented. I didn't know I had to clean it regularly. I didn't know that, like, you know, sure, they tell you like class 4 laser or whatever, but like I didn't know, like,
Right, but you were able to just buy it.
Right, and I just bought it, and like, so yeah, it gave me the baby steps I needed. So I'm always impressed by people who go straight to, you know, the like big boy machines, I call them, because like if you can skip that and you really do think that you're going to love it and you're going to give it your all, you should kind of make that skip, right?
Yeah.
Because then you don't have to go through like 2 learning curves and the selling the Glowforge. I sold it nowhere for near what I paid for it, which makes sense because I used it for 2
but
years.
but the wheels fell off of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
The Riley Black Project is sponsored by Monarch Pine.
Monarch Pine is your trusted source for premium laser blanks and jewelry findings. From large loop earring hooks made specifically for acrylic and wood earrings to laser-tested stainless steel necklace and bracelet blanks, they have everything you need to bring your creative ideas to life.
As a maker, you know the value of quality supplies. And that's exactly what Monarch Pine delivers. Whether you're crafting as a hobby or running a full-time business, their products make it easy to design confidently and create stunning pieces.
Head to monarchpine.com and use code RileyBlack to get 10% off your order. Riley Black patrons get an even bigger discount, so don't miss out.
While you're at it, join the Monarch Pine Craft Supply Insiders Facebook group. It's a vibrant community where makers share tips, inspiration, and their incredible creations.
Monarch Pine, where your creativity takes center stage. Visit monarchpine.com and use code RileyBlack today.
Not tomorrow.
Today. Hey guys, how great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape the 9-to-5 and embrace a lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Above and Beyond webinar, where you'll learn how you can make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon Laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head on over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Above and Beyond webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Bye. So when did you get your Mira 9?
It was 2023.
So how did your business, like, how did it evolve from there, right? Did you already have a business that this was like an extension of, or was this like kind of hobby and you hope to maybe turn it into a business?
It was, I've always thought of my stuff as a business. And what, no matter how small or how big it was going to be, it was always going to be a business for me.
Yeah.
And I think, I started out with, just doing the stuff at home, and kind of selling to people during COVID.
Right.
And then beyond that, I was like, okay, well, I was working in social. I was working for nonprofits and for digital marketing companies, and I was getting burned out. And especially during COVID times. And so I said, you know what else can I do? Where I maybe not, I didn't see myself as creative in that way, but I am a creative person. So how can I bring what I do know into something that might be able to pull me away from this other stuff that's just draining me, right? Yeah. So the excitement of trying something new was a little more palatable.
Right.
But So we started out, our first name was Happy Crafting Co. And because we were happy crafters.
Yeah.
And then I kind of sat down and said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it full time. I'm going to, and I had the ability to do that. Not everybody has the ability to do that, right? So I'm going to do this full time. I'm going to be for real about it. I'm going to make sure all of my documents, my legal documents and all that stuff are lined up. I'm going to need a space because we sold our house in March this year and moved to an apartment, and I can't operate that big laser in the apartment. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get a space. So we finally figured that out and renamed the company to what I want people to feel when they receive the gift.
Yeah, I love the company name.
So it's, I want to see that yay come through. So yes, that was, the short story of how that came to be. But yeah, it's been iterations as we've gone along.
Right. Yeah. And then you kind of have to, like you said, you have to pivot too, right? So you needed to move from your house to an apartment, and that could have been like, oh, okay, well, I guess the business is done, or that type of business is done, or that part is gone. Instead, you're like, no, okay, now this is where I need to pivot, and I need to have a space. And honestly, besides the overhead is the hardest part with having a space, right? But everyone who gets to that point, it's like, I fantasize about that. You know what I mean? Because like having that separation in space, having like our garage back, having our house back, because like that stuff, yes, everything is mostly in our garage, but it spills out into the hallways, into the living room when we're like doing inventory.
Especially when we re-up inventory and stuff.
And so like, there's the pros and cons of it, right? Where you can work on stuff at home. But like, if it's always here, it's really hard to have that separation between work and life, right? And, having that space and being more intentional about when you're at work and when you're at home, that doesn't mean that some work isn't going to happen at home, right? There's going to be some maybe emails or stuff, designing or stuff that you can do like not in that space. But there's definitely some things to be said about if you can handle that overhead of a separate space, it really does have some great benefits to it,
Yeah. Well, and I'm the type of person where if something is going on at home, because when I first got the big laser, we had kids still at home. And so there's a lot of drama around the teenage years, right?
Yeah.
So I could shut the door to the garage, but really I was still on site. I was still in that.
Yeah, you can shut the door. At least with my kids, you can still shut the door. You're still going to hear them screaming, arguing, hearing John tell them stop it, and then being like, should I go out there and like referee too? I feel guilty for being in here. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think being at my own space, again, that I was very lucky to be able to do this. I can come here. It's 10 minutes from from our home.
Awesome.
I can drive over here. I've got coffee. I've got, different things that I can enjoy away from the business of the house. But yeah, it's been fantastic. Highly recommend. And to me, I was looking at storefronts to begin with because I thought, okay, that's what I want to do. I wanted to have people to come in.
Right.
And I ended up with an office space.
Yeah, I was going to ask, tell us more about like the space, setup size, all of that.
Yeah. So started out with, like I said, looking for a bigger space. And what I found was real estate, especially commercial real estate, is very expensive. And so even in a mediocre area, it was still going to be, oh gosh, it was like $3,000 minimum a month to be able to do this. And the spaces were great, but it was too much. So my realtor was like, how about we look at some, like, how much space do you really need?
Right.
And I said, well, I don't need I need a small office space somewhere where I can, work outside of the laser, but the laser doesn't need a lot of space. So if we had 2 rooms, that'd be fine. What I ended up finding out at a very, very good price was right off of a main road here there's 3 rooms to this. You walk in and it's almost like a little like a sitting area.
Mm.
So I would call it like the family room of the
Yeah.
house. And I have my items displayed on shelves so they can kind of see as they come in, you know, what kinds of
Nice.
things I can do. And then I have my office where I'm sitting at here. And then I have the laser space, but all in all, it's about 600 square feet.
Nice.
Very good price. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't need to, I have my filters. I don't need to vent out the window like I did in the
Right.
garage, right? And so it just happened to work out. I was able to update it a little bit and make it mine, and
Nice.
very exciting. But
Yeah. You have to send me a video tour. I want to like see.
And
see the space.
Is the 9 the only machine you have now, or has it grown to more?
Yeah, so I have when I was waiting for us to find this place, I was like, I can't stop working. I have to figure out something, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
I decided to do an X tool,
Nice.
an Ultra, and so did that, and so now I've got the 2 lasers, and apparently there's more stuff that I need to buy out there. I just have to figure out how to work it in.
Yeah.
You know, there's always new shiny things that are always like grabbing, and like this industry and several extended kind of industries are just always expanding and coming out with just such cool things. And it's really hard to like sit down and think, okay, does this make sense for my business? Is this something I can do? Because yeah, we want to do all the things, but it's like doing all the things can take away and actually be detrimental to your business if you're not careful about making sure that it's like the right fit or not, you know?
Yeah.
So how long have you been in this new space?
A couple of months. I soft launched October 1.
Awesome.
So at this point, yeah, it's been a couple months. I'm still not settled in totally. I'm a perfectionist in the background.
See, and I don't know that we ever will be, right? Because as soon as I think like the workshop, right? We keep moving stuff around, we keep like getting rid of stuff that we can and like organizing the stuff that we keep. And then as soon as you think you get it to where it is, then something else happens, and now you need to find space for that new thing. Or now you're like, I really don't want to do this. I thought I wanted to do these things. Let me just get rid of those.
Yeah.
It's always shifting. And if your business is growing, if you keep your space and business the same, that means you're not keeping up with your growth either. So it's like, it's just, we have to like come to terms with the fact that like, this is how it looks now. This is its current season.
Yep.
And then you're just always going to be looking for ways that, you can improve
I feel
it.
like if you move, at least from the stories we've heard from the people we've talked to, not personal experience, but if you find if you're looking to like get a space and you find a space where you're like, oh, okay, I think this is gonna work. Yeah, it's too small. Because I feel like everyone that has gotten like that space and everything move in and like, oh, this is like I already
and
need
6 months later
space.
or their next lease renewal, which is a good problem to have.
It is.
I think if you can afford a bigger space than you need, if that's in the budget that you want to spend anyway, do it, right? Yeah. Don't extend yourself further in the fear of potentially, needing a bigger space, needing, a bigger, everyone has grown out of it in 6 months. That's going to happen to me. And then you get a space that's too big. And then now you're like, crap, this is too much. I can't afford it, whatever. Yeah. And then you have to pivot in a different direction, which is fine too.
I mean, don't buy the whole building.
Right, exactly. Well, and like Katie,
I'm not going to tell people what to do with their money. If they want to buy the whole building, go ahead and buy the whole building. Right?
Yeah. But like Katie, so she got a small space, right? But it was bigger than obviously her home and like whatever. But then she realized how much she had packed into her home, her storage unit and everything. And as soon as you put it in like an actual space with like space that isn't, on top of each other, she's like, oh crap, it's like full.
Well, and also like you have your space that you work with, like we work out in our 2-car garage, right? Yeah. So it's like, I think 20 by 20 or whatever. Yeah. So if we looked at another space 20 by 20, but we're not factoring in some stuff that we have on the couch, some stuff that we have like in the
It'd be too small.
hallway, like, you know, and then that's what she was saying. Once they moved in, she started pulling all of her stuff from all the closets,
all the crevices,
and it's
the
like,
attics,
oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
Like, this isn't big enough, because, you know, it's the day-to-day space that you think about when you think about, I need, you know, to get a space.
But she found an amazing landlord, at least it sounds like to me.
Right.
And then he came across this other space, which I think he had that other space then, but he wasn't ready to like rent it.
Right.
And it would have been much bigger than she would have been ready for at the time. But then seeing how the smaller space, she was able to then shift into the bigger space with the same length. So it kind of like, it worked how it needed to,
right?
You know, and that can happen too. But yeah, we always hear the stories of the ones who are like, oh, this is, or they get the space that to them is bigger than they need, and then they grow out of it still in no time, even getting a bigger one. We dream about getting a space and getting out of our garage and adding like a gym or playroom or, you know, whatever, just having some kind of space back. And like, it's smart of you too, and you and your realtor, to find like an office space, right? Because that's what we did with our podcast studio. The podcast studio, you know, we had these such grand plans from like years ago, right? And we're like, oh, they would be so cool to have a rentable podcast studio with all these different sets and stuff, right? And so that's what we had in our head initially of like,
what you need.
Dream, right? But what we didn't do, because it wasn't like something feasible at the time, and it also wasn't feasible at the time because we kind of dreamed too big initially. When we dumbed it down and I was like, wait, can we do like a podcast studio, just one set in like an office space? And he was like, yeah, it's going to be a little tight, but like we can make it work.
It's kind of what we're doing here.
And yeah, exactly. And then, you know, we priced it out and we found something under $500, and it was like, oh, we can do that. You know, so sometimes you kind of have to break things down in like bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
And then you're able to, you know, grow that way.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than the Crazy Laser Dad's Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced and tested and ready to use on your laser. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for your customers.
Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their Laser Ready Blanks.
Are you tired of endlessly joining jump rings?
There's gotta be an easier way.
Are your wrists aching after numerous orders? Introducing Keychain Thingies, the time-saving solution for anyone making keychains.
It's so fast and easy.
These revolutionary plastic thingies make large or multiple orders a snap. So easy, even a child can do it.
That was so easy.
So what are you waiting for? Go to keychainthingies.com and order now. Keychain Thingies will change your life. However, they should not be used to cure any medical ailments, repair broken relationships, or help lose weight. Do not use Keychain Thingies unless you want to save time and aggravation.
I think, I'm a dreamer as well. And so, you know, having a partner for me that's able to say, okay, that's great. He's a dreamer too, but he's good as far as a sounding board for me.
Right.
So he's like, okay, well, I mean, we could afford to do the $3,000 space, but for how long?
Right.
And you when you have a space, it's kind of like when you're going to college and you're deciding for yourself, okay, I can do this. It's your decision.
Right.
And so you're going to do better because it's your decision. Nobody's telling you what to do. At least that's how I did college.
Right.
So with a space, you know, I'm working millions of times harder than I ever was in the garage. Right. And I was excited in the garage, but now I have something to like work for. Like, if I don't do what I need to do, this could all be gone and I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do.
True.
Right?
It makes it like almost like more serious, right? Not that it wasn't serious when it was in your garage, but now it's like, oh, I got to pay rent.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah. And so, you know, as we were figuring all of that stuff out, my husband, Chuck, is a photographer in his off hours. And so he's like, Oh my gosh, we were joking around. Oh gosh, God forbid you get wildly successful and you have to get a bigger space. Oh darn, I'll take over your space.
Right.
Then he would have a space because he sees how nice it is to
Right.
Yeah.
a little corner, to work in, as opposed to he's at the apartment working in our second bedroom now.
Yep.
And so, yeah, so I think, dream big and then also kind of check yourself before you wreck yourself. We used to say,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And make sure that you're able to do it, realistically.
Right. Well, and
That's
like you said, the $3,000 space, like you could afford it, right? For, you're not sure for how long.
yeah.
But if you can make something that's cheaper work for now, that also means more profits and it's going to be easier for you to grow.
Yep.
If you make $5,000 in profit and you only get to take home two, like two is still great, but like now, like after, if you're paying yourself, if you have, like, if you need to buy supplies, if you need to buy new machines, if expanding with that is going to be a lot more difficult rather than say, if you get a space that's like 1,500 and, it works, but
Yeah.
now you have more room to grow. You're not slaving away at products just to make rent,
Yeah. Yeah.
So go ahead. Are you going to say something?
I was just going to say that, I mean, that's what it boils down to is you decide where you want to spend your money, right? And I wanted to be stressed less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. I think with the times right now, anywhere that you can do that is beneficial,
Yeah.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I was just saying, speaking of projects, what sort of products do you have that you sell in the gifts and cards?
Yeah, so that was one of the iterations that I brought on new, was bringing some cards in, and right now they're mini cards. I was really drawn to doing something different, and you don't see a lot of mini cards. When I go to the store to buy a card, I'm buying a full size card, and that's nice, but it's not interesting, right?
Yeah.
So brought in some mini cards. They're done by a local maker.
Nice.
And so that was one thing that I wanted to do since I'm Denver focused.
Yeah.
To have a Denver vendor for the cards, and she's fantastic. And then as far as products, started getting into leatherette a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, it's fun. And
it is.
It's easy. Don't let the public know that. Shh.
Right? Well, what's not easy is the super metallic leatherette that you have to. That shit's not easy.
Yeah, that is not easy. No. Yeah.
The other stuff is.
I remember doing a leatherette journal in the garage when I was at the house, and I was like, this is killing me, man. It was like it was blue and it had silver underneath that blue.
The other day.
And I'm like, I just wanted to choke myself. Yeah. So
I had a patch the other day. It took me 3 patches to get the patch that was like good enough quality, but it was still not up to my standards.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's
other than that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, it's fine, but not great. So leatherette, I've always done wood. So charcuterie boards is where I really started, and what my jam is. I love putting fun phrases on charcuterie boards.
Yeah.
And ornaments. So last year, was it last year or the year before? I did baby's first Christmas ornaments. And that was so fun. I'm like so far beyond, having kids and stuff. And so like every little bit that I can to kind of soak up the baby stuff was really fun. But I try to keep it really simple. So right now, focusing more on business to business sales. So I'm doing a lot of portfolios. I'm doing a lot of the charcuterie boards, and that's what I see, mostly working with the professionals down here. But yeah,
that's awesome. I'm intrigued with the mini cards thing. I love that idea. One, I still love cards, right? Because in a very digital world, right, I realize like I probably couldn't find something with like my mom's handwriting on it, right? And unless you give like those cards, and then a lot of times with like gift cards, especially with my mom living in Colorado and us being here, a lot of times it's a digital, Amazon gift card. And don't get me wrong, I love those.
Yeah.
But like not, having that handwriting, that personal touch, and then again, not like a full card. So it's kind of like easier to, store, have a couple of them. And like you said, it's unique. Like the business cards that you see that are like square shape, right? Instead of, those are like, oh, that's different. It kind of like intrigues you. And in a stack of business cards, that one, good and bad, will sit differently.
Right.
So finding those like the same but different kind of things is great to add to your business. And then the awesome part of supporting another local maker in the process too. I'm doing that with a project I can't talk about, but it's been really fun to highlight someone else's work. One, it takes some of the work out of it for me because I have their collaboration with it, and then you add like a whole new spin on it, and then you both hopefully grow from it. So
she's fantastic. I shout her out on social frequently, and so that gets her a little extra oomph, I'm sure. But the mini cards were good for me too, just because it completes the gift. So you have your personalized gift, something that has that inside joke or the name or the grandma's recipe or something heartfelt. But then you also have that card as well. And some people don't care for cards, some people do, but I think if you're probably gonna get a tag for the gift anyways, just saying so and so, you might as well do something that's fun and goes along with the gift. And they're actually like little bifold. Nice. So it's an actual like greeting card looking.
That's so cool.
And then supporting local. I knew I wanted to do that after I had a lapsed moment where I was like, I can make cards. I have time to make cards.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, hand making the cards like we used to
just because you can doesn't mean you should. Right.
Yeah. And that's when I pulled myself back and said, let me support a local maker. There's lots of people here, even, within the 100-mile radius that are doing really cool things in Denver. So that's how I ended up landing. Just did a search and figured out, okay, what vibes with me and my brand, and looking for vendors who would be able to do that.
Right. Well, and in doing that, she gets to do cards really well, right? Because that's probably one of the few things that she does. And then with you focusing on the laser stuff and the other stuff, you get to do that really well, right? But then still offer this thing that you wanted to offer. But as I'm sure you probably saw when you maybe started to look into it, there's probably certain like machines or tools or printers or things that you need that go into that to make quality cards, or you could just outsource that part of it, work together, and then
both of us are happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tell us more about the tumbler, I think, right? That was featured in. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So when we moved down to my office is in Centennial, but we moved nearby. We didn't know anybody. I mean, we were a few minutes away from Chuck's work, and so that's where we landed, or why we landed where we did.
Yeah.
And so I said, the first thing that I need to do is if I'm taking this seriously, like super seriously, I need to get out and about, and I need to meet people. And so I joined the local regional chamber of commerce, and just started talking to people.
Smart.
And met up with somebody who has been in the community for years and years and years. Her parents own a business here in Centennial, and she is working for the city herself. And she said, hey, I've got this conference that I'm going to. It's for economic conference, and the whole state is going to be there, all the representatives from the different areas. And we're doing a basket of local businesses.
Nice.
I would love to take a tumbler or, something to that effect. And I was like, I can do a tumbler. That's fine.
Right.
I said, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to, is there a certain color scheme that you need, or, And she's like, nope, I'm leaving it up to you. So I said, okay.
Right. No, I need some direction. Yeah.
So she said, make it blue. And I said, okay.
Okay.
Right.
So we got a blue. But so I did an engraving for her, and she put it in the basket, and it was just, a select few. I think there was 10 items maybe in the basket. And there are 7,700 registered businesses in Centennial. And so
Yeah.
in and of itself, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like,
It's
how
huge.
cool. Yeah, to just be
Yeah.
thought of in that way. And
Yeah.
never would have had that happen, or at least not right now, had I not been talking to people in the chamber and meeting people who, we can help each other out.
Yeah. Those collaborations, whether locally or like, not local,
Mhm.
are huge. They've come
Yeah.
in handy for us. I mean, time and time again. We are doing like that local show that we highlight local businesses, and that's been amazing. One, like, we get shout out, they get shout out, we get to meet new people, we get to expand like who we know. They'll think of us, for many different things. And it's never a bad thing to know more people.
Right.
Just like, you never know when you're going to need some random thing and you're like, oh, I know I met this person 2 years ago. They do that. Let me reach out to them. And, it's just, it's awesome. Again, like, I feel like this one is about like collaboration, because like, even just in collaborating, with you and me, right? I've needed help with stuff across the board for a while, right? But I'm a control freak, and it was really difficult in releasing some of that control and to finding someone who I could trust, right? So locally, I don't really know anybody who has like extra time who would understand like the Facebook groups and our people and what needs to be done and know anything about it, because now the training's going to expand into what the heck do you even do? There's a lot more work in like nurturing someone if it's a stranger, right? And even then, like, putting it out there, it's one thing to put it out there and then to actually like follow through with it.
Yeah, on both sides.
Right.
For people who's like, oh, I want to do it, and then for you to actually do it.
Right, because it is work, right? Because that can make some things weird or strange. And it's like, okay, if it is someone within the community and maybe I'm not like satisfied with how they're doing it, or, maybe they're not treating it as important as I am, or, whatever, then it's that awkwardness of like, okay, now what? Can we get to the same page? Or, what do we do now? What if this doesn't work? And now it's like, now things are weird. Thankfully, we got very lucky in having you, and you blew me out of the water in like the first few posts, and I was like, oh, we're fine. And it was hard, but like, I intentionally kept it somewhat vague of like what she should do or what she should post, because
you weren't sure what you wanted to let go.
Well, that, and like, if I'm planning the whole post, that kind of defeats the whole purpose. If all she's doing is posting it for me, then like, I might as well just suck it up and post it myself, So releasing more control made it a more beneficial like agreement. And just doing that where you can in your business and in personal life, it's just so beneficial, because you have no idea when one of those connections, one of those friendships, one of those, I talked to you 6 months ago and they reach out and need some, an engraving or a tumbler or whatever, you never know when that's going to be like the thing that takes your business to the next level.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also, there's something to be said about like joining these local groups like the chamber.
Yes.
Or if there's a local, because like for us, there are local networking groups. When you after a while, like we've gone, like this most recent one, we went an hour away. It's like, oh, you're the podcasting people. I've seen your stuff, or like
even an hour away,
like,
they
know,
they knew us.
And it's the keeping up the like presence, and they seen our stuff stuff on social, but at the same time, we've been there. So now we're saying hi to the same people.
Well, and then
they
they're making
know-
the connection in
Mhm.
person too, because some
Right.
people knew us through social, but then they see us in person, but then they recognized us because we were showing up
Right.
so often. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then even if it doesn't turn into like a point of sale or a good lead like there in the moment,
Mhm.
down the road, whenever they do need that or they think about it, they're like, oh, you know what? I know who to call
Yeah.
because I see them around town or I've seen their stuff pop up. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely important.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've come to realize is, there wasn't a lot of opportunity, or I didn't pursue it maybe in my previous spot, when we were up north, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
now having those relationships, it's the know, like, trust thing that
Yep.
Yep.
that's so important, right? And so now I'm like challenging myself, okay, how much do I spend out in the world, like making myself known,
Right.
and then also coming back and doing some work, or like
Right.
innovating, or how much time is too much time out in the
Yeah.
wild. And then also, not everybody is going to be a good referral for you. So
Yep.
as
Right.
you're meeting people, right, you may just say, okay, they're a cool person, or I don't really
Yeah.
care for them, or whatever.
Right. Just
Mhm.
not
But,
for me. Yeah.
yeah, it's just not for you at the time. I had somebody that I had a one-on-one with, is an insurance person, and he said, you may not have anybody that you can refer to me, but I would love for you to come see what I do. And so I did. I made the time to come, and he showed me what he does, and so now I have a better idea,
Mhm.
that if something does come up, there's nothing right now, but maybe
Right.
later.
Yeah.
And so that's been fantastic too. I think also the mindset that I've always had, from when I was a little girl, was community, and always having like a community of people that you can count on, or that you can go to when you need help
Yeah.
talking through stuff, or
Yep.
Mhm.
in the maker community, you see a lot of people saying, hey, I need to get this done and I'm not able to do it. My machine's down, or
Right.
I just need an extra hand. And somebody says,
Right.
oh, I'm local, I can help you out. That kind of
Yeah.
stuff has been fantastic. So I think the more people you talk to, the more people that you just engage with in general. It doesn't have to be business oriented. The
Yeah.
better off you will be as a maker, as a
Agree.
business owner. And then also understanding that that it's okay to be nervous. Like, I'm super
Yes.
nervous when I
Yeah.
go into
Yes.
working,
I
even
hate it. I hate it so much, but then it's like you get over your spiel and then you're like, oh, okay. Now it's like the
yeah.
easy part of just talking to people,
Yeah, what ended up happening, or is happening currently to me, is I'm refining my message, right?
Yep.
So the
Mhm.
more people I talk to, I'm like super stilted at the beginning when I
Yeah.
was first going, stilted and nervous, and like, couldn't figure out what I was trying to say, or people would say,
Mhm.
"Oh, you're a promo company." No, not really.
Right.
That's not really like,
Right.
yeah. And so then you figure out, okay, well, I need to change how I say this.
Yep.
Right.
So it really does help you refine. And then it kind of is ingrained in me then, like, oh, yes, this is exactly what I do. And,
Yep.
you can go from there. And so, yeah, it's nerve wracking. It can be nerve wracking. It doesn't have to be, or
Right.
forever. It's not forever.
Well, and it's like
Yeah.
with anything, the more you do it, the less scary it is, the
Yes.
easier it gets, the better that you figure out your message. I
Yeah.
mean, heck, prime example, right, of you being mistaken as like a promo company.
Mhm.
We were being mistaken as only a podcast company. And so if they weren't starting a podcast or didn't want to do a podcast, they
Yeah.
didn't think that we were for them. And so we've basically changed from Riley Black Studios podcasting and content creation. It was always in our tagline, but the podcasting part, they kind of would
Overshadowed.
stop there,
Yeah.
right? And so we changed it from Riley Black Studios podcasting and content creation to Riley Black Studios all things content. So if that is a
Mhm.
podcast for you,
Mhm.
we got you. If that's anything else with content, we also got you.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, figuring that out we figured that out a good portion from the networking meetings, because they're like, oh yeah, podcasting is cool. I don't know what I do a podcast on. It's like, you don't have to do a podcast in order to create content for your business. Yeah. And so doing those networkings is like soft launching to people with no pressure to buy, and you seeing, okay, how do they perceive me? And is that because I'm not giving the right message? Yeah. Or is that because, that actually is what I am? Or, you have people, do you do this? And you're like, no, not yet, but I can,
what is the need? What's the need?
Right.
That coincides with what you're doing, because like you said, a lot of what people were thinking we're podcasting, and that is a commitment, whether it be weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Right. And that commitment was what was turning people away and scared to start, because like, once I start this, I got to keep it going. Right. So they're like, well, do you do like interviews or like, this and that, or do you do what this other person does? Yeah. So we started like kind of like seeing what the needs were and what the people were asking for, because I mean, that's what they were doing. Right. And we tweaked it a little bit, but within the same, within the same field. And that's what marketing, not marketing, that's what networking and and it's not just meetings that you go to. You can do, online networking as far as posting and being part of these. This one group started off as just a Facebook group, a networking Facebook group. And then they did one event. Yeah. Because a few people were like, we should do something. Yeah. So they did the one event and it went crazy. Yep. So then like the next month or something, right? Well, that was like their third event. Oh, okay. Yeah. That was like their third event. And then like, a couple months later, they decided to do it all over again, because everyone's like, we had so much fun, let's do it again. And now they've become like a legit monthly networking, in-person networking thing, where the one of the guys that started it, he said like he just wanted to be online. He didn't want no parts of like in person. He didn't want to worry about securing a venue, securing catering, and any of that stuff. He just like, let's just do it online. We'll post like daily questions and get people engagements, which they do amazingly. But it's just a natural progression. People wanted to meet in person and see who everybody was, and now they do a monthly meetup. Yeah. But those things are good, and you can do it online. It doesn't have to necessarily be in person. And if you don't have one, much like they did, you can start one. I mean, we started one. We just had our first event. You know how many people showed up? It was just me and Crystal. Well, I mean, kind of. No, it was. So there was the bartender. Right, the bar owner, the bar owner's girlfriend, and then one of their regulars did come over and actually talk to us, and we got to meet them and grow that. But it was many things, right? It could have been timing, it could have been all the things, but like, we put ourselves out there. And then what I told him, I was like, if nobody shows up, which it's a very possible scenario, I was like, we got out of the house, we got some pizza, we got to have a drink, and whatever. Like, and people are recognizing that it's something we want to do. Even at the events, the two people who came over to talk to us were like, we need more of this. And it's like, well, okay, first we need people to show up. Right. But that's the hard part. But that also doesn't mean we're not gonna try again and have, hopefully choose a better day. Hopefully, get the word out more, like just make sure that like... Yeah, because a lot of people were like, oh, you guys should have reminded me, or you should this and that. Like they knew it was happening. They just weren't sure when. Right. And when we were like today, they're like, oh crap. Well, and then also too, there were a few things like the chamber was doing something. It was the day before Halloween. Yeah. There was a lot of things with it. But yeah, so we're at about the Gen Pop time. I want to, on the after show or the patron portion, I want to talk some more about the on-site engraving, right? You do some of that as well. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. But for now, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on my website, yaygiftsandcards.com. And all socials will be Yay Gifts and Cards. I'm also on LinkedIn if you want to connect there as well. Desiree Townsend, you can search for me there. Awesome. And I want to talk more about LinkedIn as well in the Patreon version. But that'll do it for Gen Pop. The life update's coming up next.
And it's life update time.
It is, and we can't share shit.
We
I'm just kidding.
we can.
We can, but
You've
we
been
can't.
designing a lot. So
I have.
we, aside from the top secret project,
Yeah.
we as you know, we partnered or we're working with our local print shop.
Yes.
That make all of our merch. So if you've purchased our new logo or any of the new merch, they made it Southern Tees here in Sebastian. And we've taken over all their laser engraving stuff. So we've been making a lot of tumblers. There's gonna be some awards coming up here soon.
Yeah, it gets the laser turned on, right? And sometimes that's the hardest part. You know, I'm realizing a lot of the struggles that I've had, like in life, in business, in just, you know, things in general. A lot of the times the hardest part for me is just starting.
Right.
And so if I have a job that, you know, we need to engrave some tumblers and make an acrylic plaque or, you know, whatever, the laser's already on, right? The rotary is already in.
Right.
Okay, what cups should we make?
Right.
What
Before
testers should we do? What freebies should we try and do for the podcast? You know, what's something I can try? Oh, you know, my mom's been asking for this, or so and so's been asking for this. And so it helps, like, just having the laser turned on in that mode. I don't have to break from emails, break from inventory, break from keychain thingies. You know, I do, but I have to do it for the paid job. Well, now it's already on. I can throw something else on there while I'm in that mode.
And it's funny, I feel like the 5 and the Grip 2 have gotten more work done than the 9 and the V4.
Totally. And that's where, like, I want to
in like a month's time.
Yeah, right. And again, with the help of the t-shirt shop, but and that's, you know, I want to, like, do maybe an episode where it's, like, just strictly about that, or maybe it's just a conversation between you and me and it's not even like a podcast episode. But there's been a lot more talk lately about downsizing and about having the tool that's right for you. And I used to preach it in the beginning as well. You know, get the biggest machine that your space and your budget can afford, right? And while I still think that's true in some senses, right, it highly depends on what you plan for your business at the time. Right. So coming from a Glowforge, right, I didn't want to spend a lot more money on a machine that's the same size. Like, I kind of had to go through the Mira 9 route to really figure out, you know, because when I got the Mira 9, I hadn't, like, decided yet or determined yet that I enjoyed making smaller things. I enjoyed cake toppers, cupcake, you know, keychains.
Well, you did.
Like,
you also
those kind of
didn't want
things,
to close yourself off to any opportunity that was coming in to be like, oh, well, my laser's not big enough.
Right. And, you know, having to do that for a while, you realize whatever. And then having the Mira 9 for a while and with my space and just, you know, whatever, I still said no to those bigger items eventually because I didn't have the space for the larger acrylic. Right. It changed my process. I didn't have storage for it once it was done. You had to get a specialty type of acrylic. If I mess up a cake topper from frosted acrylic, I have 15 more sheets of frosted acrylic that's 12 by 20 that I can make a new one in. If I'm doing someone's wedding sign that's custom 24 by 36, I have to order that piece of acrylic, and now I have one shot to get it right. What if my focus is off? What if I forgot to mirror it if I needed to?
And if you order 2, 1 for backup, you know, the rule applies. You're going to nail it on the first shot. And now you have this huge piece of acrylic.
And now where am I going to store that?
Just sitting around that you have no use for that you can't return.
Like the 12 by 20, I've been fine storing it vertically, right? With no bowing really or any issues with that because it's a smaller piece of acrylic. Well, with the 12 by 36, say, you know, or 24 by 36, I'm not going to like store that vertically because of the weight distribution and the size. It will bow and it's going to be detrimental to that piece of acrylic. And so, you know, just so many things. It was like when I realized where my business was, what I enjoyed making, what I planned to make, that I was already turning down these bigger jobs. And, I saw the new shiny like red lines, of course,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
there
That
was
also-
the Thunderbolt that was
Yeah.
out. There were so many
Options.
advancements from where I was at the time. There weren't X-Tool wasn't around, or
Right.
if it did, they were only doing diodes.
Right.
The Thunder was around, but they didn't have a smaller one. The options just weren't there at the time.
Not like now.
Right.
I mean,
and so when I'm looking at the bed of my Mira 9 and I'm
You guys
seeing
have
that
it
I'm
good right
using
now.
right, when I see that I'm using this much of an area repeatedly, I'm like, why do I have this behemoth of a laser that I'm not using to its full potential?
Right.
And even more so because it was so big, taking it apart and setting it up for tumblers was a pain in the ass too. Now I have to find somewhere to lean, the honeycomb tray. Now I need to take out all these blades and have to find some way to store those in the meantime.
Which even that,
And-
I mean, that bowed as well.
Right.
Because like
Yep.
only a certain part
The
was,
honeycomb
like,
tray bowed over time and caused some issues when I needed some like fine-tune
Right.
engraving on some certain things. It was fine if I was doing just a couple, but if I was doing
Or in
like a
one
full
spot,
sheet of something.
if you're doing it in one spot, because that
Yeah.
part was fine. Yeah.
Right. So I'm a huge proponent of either downsizing or getting a smaller machine and making it work with your business and your space at the time. That stuff changes so much, and sure, if you're repeatedly turning down larger jobs on your small
Right.
machine, and these larger jobs are ones you want to say yes to,
Yeah.
outsource until you can do them yourself and move in that direction. Maybe when this laser goes out, you get the bigger one. Maybe if you need an additional laser just for production,
Right.
that's where you get the bigger one. Things like that. Grow with your business, but you don't have to get the biggest, fanciest laser you can afford. Eon is sending out a lot of Mira 5s to people in the community. And I love it, though, because it's everyone who's gotten one has loved it so
Yeah.
far. I was surprised when I used Emily's Mira 7 a couple years ago how much I liked it actually being smaller. I
Right.
was like, oh, this is so much easier setting up my job.
Yeah.
In a smaller laser, because the gantry doesn't have to go as far, just little. I don't
Yeah.
have to lean in as far.
Right.
It's not hard, getting to the back of the machine is a lot easier. Just all of those things were easier because they were like at your fingertips. It's kind of like when you go into a Walgreens because you don't want to go into Walmart. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just want to go in, grab it, and go. You don't want to have to go through the whole freaking store to the back to get something and then get distracted by all the things on the way
Right.
back.
And walk out
you
with
know?
clothes and stuff.
And so it's kind of the same thing. And I can't wait I bet you there will be like an influx of these smaller but powerful machines because they can be really beneficial. I did a 40-ounce tumbler with a handle. On my
and the
Mira
5.
5. My Mira 5 Redline, mind you. I don't think the OG Mira 5
Can do it, yeah.
do that necessarily. But
And
like-
not to the max.
yeah,
Like it
there was
wasn't
room.
maxed out. We could have gone a little lower. We could there was room to focus, and
Yep.
like it wasn't like we're tweaking and we can only go now. Yes, the hand. So in this case, the handle wasn't removable.
No.
So we had to be
Made
careful.
it even harder. Yeah, we had to
to
be careful that it didn't hit the
hit.
Pritt head, yeah.
But luckily it was
Laser head.
if you're familiar with it's the JDS 40 ounce with a leatherette on it. So it
Listen, they're
doesn't.
gorgeous.
It doesn't. You can't do a full wrap anyway.
Right.
Because the leatherette only goes from like this side of the handle to that side.
Right.
Which was perfect.
Yeah.
We were able to use the entire, if we wanted to do the entire leather piece, I think we were able to.
Yeah.
We'd clear the handle
Yep.
both ways around.
Yeah.
Which in the
You
5
just probably wouldn't do it in one shot necessarily, although you could as long as you were very careful about what
it
way
all depends on
the
how
cup rotated.
comfortable you are with
Yeah.
how close that handle comes.
Well,
to
so
it, but
we did a double side engrave on those because, you either have to make it right-handed or left-handed, right?
Right.
If you do single side, for the handles. And so we did both sides. And so, we'd set up and we'd do the left and then we do the other side and then we do the right. And it worked perfect that way.
Yeah.
And then it was just easier than trying to math it of like how to do the full thing and also make sure it rotated the right way because if there's a risk for the handle to hit, it's going to be something I overthink and then it happens,
Yeah, and I mean, also innovations are coming through. I mean, the Vertigo is going to change things too with it being able to, it's dedicated for tumblers and all that stuff. I got that call too.
Right? I saw.
It must be the school, I think.
No, it's just toll free.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
But yeah, so there are innovations constantly. So and there's something to be said that you don't have to have a one machine for everything because like you said, it's a pain to put in the rotary and take it out. So you kind of like batch all your tumbler jobs.
Yep.
So that you can put the rotary in, run the jobs, and then take it out and do your flat work. But if you have a dedicated machine, whether that be the Vertigo or a 5,
right.
Like a 5 and a 7, I think might be like the sweet spot.
Yeah, I can
combo
see that,
or the 7 and a Vertigo.
And it gives us more room for other things. When getting rid of the 9 and adding the 5, we have room for the 5. We have room for our 3D printer. We have room for our fiber. We have room for our X2F1, and we have room for something else. And so, and a shipping station, which I didn't have before, I limped through and did that on my desk and it was a hot mess. I made it work because it's what I had, but like it just wasn't ideal.
Right.
Having those smaller machines that can do a little bit more can be really impactful, especially when you're working out of a smaller space. If you don't have a huge warehouse where you can do all the machines, this is where having a smaller machine that can do a lot is hugely beneficial. We're starting a whole new podcast on our life update, so we should probably let you go now. And I'm hungry.
Okay, so
but anyway, things are great. Just getting more creative. Hopefully, I'll be able to share more about all of that soon. I have been sharing more of the laser engraving jobs that I can share. I won't typically share the stuff that we do for the t-shirt shop publicly. I take pictures and videos and stuff just for reference if I need to show somebody what that product looks like engraved. But that's their customer. They're outsourcing to me, so I'm not going to post that stuff. But I'm posting what I can.
We can post the beginning, just not the full logo as it starts engraving.
Well, yeah, I've done, and I always take those videos, as it's engraving, and so this is what I'm working on. But then you can't see the final.
Open the huge box of tumblers.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I need to reach out to them because I think they have a couple big jobs for me to get done before I head off to Colorado. So I need to make sure those got in.
Those projects.
You might be. Yeah, we'll see. He'll be. I almost leaked what you'll be doing while I'm gone. But anyway, so before I leak anything I shouldn't supposed to, I hope you all have a great day.
Yes, and it's been another great episode of the Red Black Project. Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done. The Red Black Project. Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Wait, hold on. Nino, I'm recording.